Welcome to Thunder Nerds. I'm Brian Hinton.
And I'm Frederick Philip von Weiss, thank you for consuming the Thunder Nerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology
that love what they do
and
do tech good.
We're doing tech good. Yeah.
Boom.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining the show. Appreciate you spending some time with us. And speaking of doing tech good, we have a sponsor that is allowing us to do just that. We have Pantheon.io. They provide services for WordPress, Drupal 7 and 8. They have environments for dev, test, and live. You can easily collaborate with your team in a Git environment, and they make everything really quick and easy to provide security updates for your site. It's pretty interesting. You should check it out. It is Pantheon.io. So thank you, Pantheon. And we also have some conferences that we're going to be at, and we have some contests. Brian, do you want to go into that?
Yeah, we have quite a few conferences we're going to be at and quite a few contests. We're going to be at VueConf at the Strat Arts Center in Tampa. Woo!
Yeah.
There's a workshop day on March 25th. The main conference is the 26th to the 27th, and we have a fantastic promo code where you can get a $50 discount using Thunder View 50. That's Thunder View 50. We'll have that spelled out in the show notes. And we're giving away one full 3-day workshop conference pass. The rules? What are the rules, Frederick?
All you got to do is tweet out, I want at VueConf tickets at Thunder Nerds. And well, of course, we'll put that in the show notes as well. And we have a bunch of people that already entered the contest, and that's going to be a random winner. And on our show on March 7th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So watch the show and see if you won. Sometime during that episode, we're going to be giving away that ticket.
Yes, and we're also going to be at the Front End Design Conference in St. Petersburg, Florida, my home. That's a conference for web professionals who love their community, the web, and learning. It'll be our second year covering it, Frederick. Is that right?
Yeah, second consecutive year.
Yeah, and we're also giving away free tickets to that to 2 lucky winners. Same old spiel. Just tweet, I want a Front End Conf ticket at Thunder Nerds, and we'll pick 2 random winners. Win, Frederick?
That's going to be live on the show on March 21st. It's our show with Andy Vitelli and 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, watch the show sometime randomly during the show. We will pick random winners. So watch the show and get your ticket and go to the show for free, son.
Free. Woo.
Yeah. So, I hope everybody's excited. If you're down with VUE, you are down with You Know Me, Evan You, and some other people. We have on the show, we have Evan You and Pratik Patel. I hope I said that right. Welcome to the show, guys.
Welcome, guys.
Hi. Hey, thanks, guys, for having us on.
What's that?
Thanks for having us on, fellas.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you spending some time with us. Where are you guys actually joining us from today?
I'm based in New Jersey.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
Hello?
Oh, you probably like New Jersey, though.
Why do you hate your home?
I'm from New Jersey. I could say that. I'm from Jersey City. So.
Cool. Yeah, I'm in Northern Jersey. I live in Livingston.
Oh, yeah. See, that's the nice part of Jersey. That's where you drink your tea and you put your pinky up like this.
It's kind of the boring part.
it's still nice. I like it. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm in the ATL, so not too far from Tampa, I guess.
Ah, nice.
Oh,
yeah.
We have an office there. Yeah, I love Atlanta. I like the food and the good music scene.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I've never been to Atlanta.
Oh man, you got to go to Atlanta. You know where you should be going is Tampa, Florida. Pretty soon, there's a conference that's going to be there that you might enjoy.
Totally. Yeah. I would love to go. Someone give me a free ticket, please.
That's right.
Well, all you have to do is enter a contest, and we're giving away a ticket. That's one way you could get there. I'm sure there's other ways. We'll talk about it afterwards. But hey, let's dive a little bit into you guys, into the details about who you are and what you do. So, Evan, do you mind starting off?
Sure. My name is Evan You, and I work on Vue.js. Yeah, that's pretty much all I do now. I work full-time on the project,
Awesome.
I've been doing it for 3 years now, and things are looking pretty good. Really enjoying it so far.
Yeah, from here the view looks good. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, he's never heard that before, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just my humor.
Whenever I post a scenery photo in my feed, everybody's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Do you do that deliberately, knowing that's going to happen?
Kind of, yeah. Especially when I'm in a tall building and I take the city scene and I post it. I know what's going to happen.
I love that. And Pratik.
Yep. So my name is Pratik. I've been working as a developer for a long time, and we do some community conferences. We have a big one that we do in Atlanta called Connect Tech. And about a year and a half ago, we're like, you know what? Why doesn't Vue.js have a nice conference in the US? And so we reached out to Evan and said, hey, we run awesome low-cost community confs. Why don't we put on a VueConf? And so we did the first one last year in the Big Easy in New Orleans. We had a parade and everything. I don't know if you weren't there, Frederick, but I think you would have loved it. And you too, Brian. It was amazing. So we had our own first ever Vue.js parade with the live band and everything. It was
that's so cool. Do you got video of that somewhere?
We do. Go to the website. Yeah. You'll see it in the promo at the top.
Okay, yeah, we'll put that in the show notes. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah,
and also I'm really excited to hear Evan, before you joined the show when we were talking ahead of time. Pratik said that he's also going to play some blues guitar for us at the end of the show. He is going to do a nice little song, for at least 3 to 45 minutes.
So
yeah, he's going to do it this time. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Right.
Yeah, he said he found his guitar and it's going to be awesome.
That's right. We'll call it the Vue Blues. How's that?
I love it. Yeah.
What I want to know is what the little joke he said. You said you had something that you're going to say, right?
Oh yeah. So VueConf, as you all just said, is in Tampa this year at the Straz Art Center. And when we went to go do a little research and check places out and stuff in Tampa, we're walking to the Straz Art Center, and there's a big sign that said the Patel Conservatory. And the co-organizer for the event, Vincent, he's like, dude, you guys are everywhere. I'm like, I'm not related to them. So anyway, that's great. I did not donate whatever millions of dollars to open up a ballet conservatory at the Straz Art Center.
Are you sure?
It was just
this was your master plan. You can admit it. It's fine.
No, one day my startup will sell. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I hope it does. That's a different story. So anyways, there's the Patel Conservatory. Right there, it's one of the buildings in that big Straz Art Center complex. You guys have probably seen it if you've been there.
Yeah.
But that is no relation to me. So I don't know. Actually, I don't even know who they are. So it's just weird.
Allegedly.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, I used to know a Dr. Patel. I've known quite a few Patels. Yeah, it seems to be a very common name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the other joke is that since you said Dr. Patel, I often say that I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. So,
Yeah.
I didn't get it, but
I just a lot of doctors are
a lot of
okay
are Patels. So yeah. It's anyways, it's a stupid joke.
Why don't we? No, it was a good joke. I appreciate it, but why don't we? Why don't we jump into Vue.js? So, Evan, you were working at Google, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong. And you were very much into the Angular, and you had some kind of frustration or friction with Angular, and you thought that you could do this better, or there could be a way to do this better. Could you elaborate on the point that I'm not making very well?
I liked his quote. I liked his quote before he said something. He said, I figured, what if I could just extract the part that I really liked about Angular and build something really lightweight? I love that. He's just like, I figured.
Yeah. Whatever.
It's not, I mean, I would phrase it not necessarily as making a better version of it.
Yeah.
It's more like making a version that fits my personal tastes better.
Mm-hmm.
Angular 1 was Angular still today, even with Angular 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. the whole idea is it's very Java or C# influenced, very heavy on the abstractions, very strong on the conventions. You have to follow a lot of rules to be able to just get your app set up, right? And as someone who started out, like I have no prior Java background, I started out just mostly self-taught. I taught myself JavaScript. I started with plain HTML and CSS. For me, a lot of the ceremony was just getting in the way of, going from code 0 to just seeing something on the screen. And it also has to do with the type of work that I was doing back then at Google. The department I was working in was called Google Creative Labs, and we worked on a lot of these rapid prototypes. We had a lot of these experimental ideas. We had to just crank out these little prototypes very, very fast. And I just felt like most of the work was focused on just getting something out there rather than setting up the correct structure, having a very, very strong convention, making sure like it's a very serious project. It's not the focus of the thing I was doing. So naturally, I was trying to see, but there are certain parts of Angular that definitely helped in getting things done fast. So I was trying to figure out like what that part was and how I can just get the benefit of that part without, all the other things that was slowing me down. That was the primary motivation of getting started to experiment with Vue.
I'm so surprised because when you think of Google, and maybe other people would feel the same way I do or share the same kind of emotion of surprise, for lack of a better term, that when you think of Google, you would think things would be very well thought out as far as developing something else that's very, this is something we want to use long term. So let's set some solid foundations of steel and concrete before we just start building things out of straw. What do you think that is?
For me, it was because specifically the department Creative Lab wasn't a place that it's not a engineering team that's focused on building large scale products. It was sort of this innovation lab within Google. And the whole purpose of the place was to crank out new ideas as fast as possible. So most of the time we would, so it's also a mix of very interesting people. We had designers, copywriters, creative directors, filmmakers, creative technologists, which was me, and other more serious engineers, all working together. And we would come up with these very general visions of like what search would be like in 5 to 10 years. And then everybody just go wild and like explore all these crazy ideas. And the only way for you to deliver those kind of things is to have a prototype. So that was the where the technologists come in. We essentially work with these creative people, and we try to turn whatever they come up into tangible things, so that people higher up would get a chance to look at them, play with them, and if things turns out well, some of these get actually incorporated into real products.
Yeah, so it sounds a lot like a lab concept for sure. Rather than planning out what you want to do, your specific goals, you're like, hey, this is some things we'd like to do. Let's explore and experiment, which makes sense for I think that makes sense for Google with the amount of the broad scope of things they cover to do that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
You stated that you wanted it to be a lightweight. Do you think Vue.js is still a lightweight or can be lightweight?
Yeah, definitely. The thing about Vue, we call it the progressive framework. The idea is that it can be adopted incrementally. So the core library, Vue.js, the file itself is still around 20 KB without a compiler. And in terms of being easy to adopt, the whole idea is you should be able to just include the whole file with one line with a script tag, and you should be able to start working with Vue.js.
Love that.
Yeah. So we kept that as a priority from day one, even though we have a CLI, we have all the like Webpack and loaders and all the build tools that allows you to build like proper sophisticated applications, still, like if you are just getting started, or if you have a really simple use case, you can still just pull it in from a CDN and you can use it directly.
Yeah, I love that about Vue. I'm a big Vue fan. I use Vue Press at work. I've diving pretty deep into that. I really enjoy it. The theming, just the flexibility of, instantly you have a whole like documentation system is just amazing.
I would also add to Brian's point that it's I believe it has a easier point of entrance than some of the other libraries.
Yeah, definitely. 100% agree.
Yeah, I totally agree that Vue has a lower learning curve than a lot of the other libs. And the other thing I really like about it is that, as Evan said, it's progressive. It's a progressive framework. So when you need to step up and your app gets more complex, you can mix in some Vuex. And there's not like 5 different things to choose from. It's like you use Vuex, right? And that's like the thing that you use for doing state management. But the low learning curve is really great. And for me personally, the other thing I really like, because I hate switching windows or files, is that I can keep everything inside of one file. I have my template, I have my code for that specific component, and then I have the styling, and it's all right there. So I'm not having to switch back and forth. I mean, I have a giant 32-inch monitor, but still, it's nice to keep everything like in one file. You don't have to keep jumping back and forth between things. So it just makes things a lot simpler and like a lot smoother. And like for me at least, when I use Vue to build stuff, I get like everyone was saying, like about like fast prototyping. I like to use tools that give me a lot of developer velocity, so I can code and crank out stuff really fast, which is awesome, right?
Developer velocity, I like that.
Yeah. Great term.
That's great because it fits with the whole reason I started building Vue, right? Velocity was what we were trying to optimize for.
Yeah, I didn't actually look it up. I've just now honestly thinking of it. What is Vue's name, the origin of it, for anyone who might not know, including myself?
Oh man, I didn't even think of that.
I just thought about it.
It's pretty simple actually. When I was starting it, it started out that it had an earlier name. It was called Seed before that. But later on, and then I found out it was not available on NPM, so I had to change the name. But
that's funny.
And then I was like, okay, this is a Vue layer library. In the beginning, I didn't plan to actually build a whole framework. I was like, I just want to focus on the Vue layer, and VIEW sounds just too literal. I just put it into Google Translate and look at a bunch of translations, and I found out, the French word looks pretty nice. And then it's available on NPM, so I'll take it.
That's great.
That's a great story. I love that. And that totally makes sense, the origin of that.
Yeah, 100% agree, by the way, Pratik, about how everything being together. Oh, I mean, it's great because we have all this controversy and argument and drama over like, where inline CSS, where does it go? And Vue's just like, it goes right here. Or it cannot. Whatever you want, we're fine. I love that. Yeah.
What do you tell people that when they're looking to learn some of these different libraries, whether it's Angular, React, or Vue, what do you tell them about the value of Vue and why they should consider Vue over learning something else to start off with?
Well, if they are a beginner, right, I typically, I don't really say like this is the one library that you should learn. I always encourage people to just explore all the options first before doubling down on one of them. And before you actually make these early explorations of each of these popular solutions, it's very hard to say which one is the best for you because everybody has slightly different mental models when it comes to programming. People have different background. Like someone may have worked with Java in the past and they find Angular very familiar. Someone may just start it out with no prior programming language experience at all. Someone may, come from a research academic background and they're like deep into language theories and like everything should be functional, So people have all of these different tendencies before they start learning to do things in front end. So naturally, when they go into these frameworks, their initial impression would be very, very heavily influenced by what they had learned in the past. And this kind of past learning, especially in programming, forms your personal taste as a programmer, and it's really hard to change. Some people like Vue, and whenever they see JSX, they're like, this is terrible. And some people like React so much that whenever they see a template, they're like, no templates, right? So these two groups of people have completely different reactions on template versus JSX, but fundamentally templates and JSX are just this slightly different ways of expressing the same underlying logic. They obviously have slightly different flexibilities and constraints. There are a lot of things you can talk about in those areas, but a lot of times, if you just naturally feel like you don't want to work with something, right, it's never going to be a pleasant experience for you. So I don't really, think it's valuable to say like convince people like this. You should like just give up what you've believed and try to learn this instead, right? I want everyone to just try everything and make your own decision. Like you will naturally find one that fits your mental model best, and that's the one you should learn.
Right, because
in terms of yeah, I mean, in terms of the whole, capabilities of building applications, like Angular, React, Vue, the three most popular ones, will cover 99% of your use cases, no problem, right? So the more important thing is find one that you feel you would be most efficient and productive with, you would be most happy with, and the other side of it is sometimes people will put, looking for jobs into the equation, but
yeah, sure. Yeah. What do you tell people about the that look at the market and say, there's a lot of React jobs out there?
That's true. I mean, if your top priority is looking for a job, then you should probably find one. But like if you're a programmer and you're looking for a job, you should look at the job not just as a way of making money. You should also think about in terms of your fulfilledness when you're working on the job. In order to get a slightly higher paying job, you have to give up something you like and work with something you're less, happy about. Is it really worth it? That varies from people to people. So, it's still up to you to decide. But if you are able to find a job that's paying equally well, maybe it takes slightly longer for you to find it. But if you're much happier for the long term, then, personally, to me, that sounds like a more reasonable decision.
And I would say, too, a lot of these companies, or a lot of companies that I know of, are pretty open to say, like, oh, you've worked in React for X amount of years and we're a Vue shop. They're not going to go, oh, you have no experience in Vue. They're pretty open to going, well, if you know this, it's not going to be really difficult for you to pick up Vue. You'll jump in and it's going to take you a little bit of learning, but it's you get the concepts. You'll dive in and you'll have it in a week. It'll
be easier.
Yeah, way easier. Yes, and Vue will be way easier anyway, and you'll love it. And that's it.
Yeah, definitely agree. You should. I mean, the whole trendy thing now is, does it bring you joy? And yeah, work, joy, and being happy at what you do is a big deal. And whatever framework that you embrace and makes you happy, and yeah, definitely stick with it. One thing that I was amazed, and I'm pointing this out not because I'm like, this is how much Evan makes, but you make roughly, according to Patreon, like 17,000-ish a month. And what I find, and that's Patreon, everyone. What's amazing to me about that, and why I'm highlighting it, is because it shows the power of the community and of businesses supporting open source software, and that Evan is able to work full time on an open source project that everyone can use and everyone can contribute to because of the community support. And that is
that kind of makes me cry a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I'm not the first one, right?
No, yeah.
Linus is, working on something even bigger.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Definitely. I mean, there's numerous projects. Like another one that I'm familiar with is Blender 3D, a 3D application that was community supported and is open source. And I mean, but what does that feel like? How do you feel the fact that the community is supporting you? Like that must bring you such like happiness. I mean,
totally, yeah. I mean, this is what keeps me going. So when I decided to go full time, going full time definitely has two sides of it. The one side is the freedom. You get to decide what to work on, get to set your own schedule. At the same time, there's a lot of pressure because there's no
released.
parent organization that's got your back, right?
Yeah.
You have to buy your own insurance even. You have to figure out your own taxes and everything. Like, the first few months of that was just terrifying. First year of doing tax as a sole proprietor was horrifying. I was just forced to figure out like, wow, like my tax in the past was just so easy compared to this now.
Did you forget to file quarterly and instead had to do it all?
I just delayed it until October. I was like, I don't want to do this until the last minute. But yeah, so there was a lot of these uncertainties, like whether I can actually make enough for the next month. But it just kept growing. So the fact that now it's like I've been having a very stable stream of income on Patreon. So this is totally amazing and just makes the whole idea of working on open source, it's almost like too good to believe, right? Because when I think before I decided to go full time, I was just dreaming about this. So I was like, wow, if everybody just give me $1, I would have this much and I can work on it full time. How amazing would that be? And today I'm like, wow, I've been actually doing this for 3 years. It's just unbelievable.
Let me ask you, do you ever get approached by any entity as far as a company or a private organization or a group of developers to, hey, why don't we partner up and make this a little bit bigger and move it along faster? Why don't you give up, X% of your intellectual property? Like, anybody approach you?
No one in that kind of way. I think there are certain companies would be like, we want to say sponsor you, and then you would technically become an employee, but you can still work on Vue. But I was just never fond of that kind of arrangement because once you're an employee, you pretty much like your whole financial situation is dependent on what they tell you to do. Even though like you can trust that they would have goodwill, but what if the company goes wrong or they just change their mind? I would have to go. There's so much churn to go back and forth between being independent versus being employed. It's just a lot of risk, and also the governance of an open source project is a pretty complicated topic. A lot of times when we talk about contribution, it's not like you can just pile on man hour to do more, to automatically get better efficiency at solving certain problems. When you introduce a new contributor into the project, you have to actually spend a lot of time to help their hands through the process, get them familiar with all the historic setup. Especially when you have a project with several years of history, there is just so much that a new developer have to slowly get ramped up with. It's not if I want to say suddenly bring 5 new people into the project, I would have to spend like 2 months full time just like doing workshops for them, and if for me, it's not really practical most of the time. So most of the contributors that we have today are people who are just really passionate about it. So they just read the source code in their spare time, they learn by themselves, and they start making contributions. And then it's a very long process. A lot of our team members have been working with Vue for like 2 to 3 years. So a lot of them just it's a very long process for them to get more familiar with Vue and eventually become a core team member. So a lot of times it's not just like a company can just give me money and we can suddenly scale it up. It's not that simple.
Well, yeah, like Microsoft could come to you and say, "Hey, we wanna buy Vue," whatever that looks like.
So what's your dollar amount, Evan?
What's
Microsoft wants to know. We're gonna at them.
Billion.
Well, 1 billion, I can consider that.
You heard it, Microsoft. 1 billion.
Man, you lowballed it. I mean, I feel like you could have gotten a little more out.
Because it was funny because I think in China in the past when people were joking about it, I think there was one time we were celebrating that we crossed a certain number of users, and then someone on the Chinese social network was like, if I give you this amount of money, would you be willing to fix this bug for me? And I was like, so he was offering like somewhere around 3,000 RMB, which is probably around like $400 to $500. And everybody was joking like, you need to add 2 zeros to that. And yeah, it was just funny because like I just find it, it's hard to gauge how much a project is worth when it's open source, because it's just the scale of impact, not just Vue. Like think about things like Babel or Webpack, right? Like they are used by so many people. It's hard to put a dollar amount on this kind of projects.
Yeah, and who knows where it would go. This is so much your baby, and then and I think everybody trusts you. Obviously, you could even look at the numbers of the measurable trust, if you want to say that. But everybody trusts you and trusts the path that you're taking is correct, and is clearly very happy with the direction everything's going. So why even entertain the thought of getting off that path?
Yeah, I think I mean, sometimes people would talk about the buzz factor, but I still think for a project like Vue in its current stage, right? Having someone who's able to set the vision is still something really necessary for the project. I mean, I'm naturally sort of, I would say, bundled with Vue as a project, and I don't.
That's a great joke there. You're bundled with Vue.
And some people think a project's reliance on a single person is a risk, but in other ways, I also think it's sometimes it's what gives a certain project a competitive edge over some of the others, because it allows the project to have a more consistent vision, allows it to move faster, and sometimes allows, if this people is actually doing a good job, then this project can actually run more efficiently than some of the committee-based formats, which will usually result in a lot of friction when you're trying to make decisions.
Yeah, definitely. One final question before we move on to our next topic. I'm curious, was there ever a time that Vue kind of felt like, okay, is this not going to work, or there's some point in time where you felt there was a chance of failure?
I think, sorry, you froze up for a second or two.
Oh, so, okay. Yeah. Was there ever, I ended with, was there ever a chance that you felt like there was a chance that the Vue was going to fail?
Definitely in the early days, quite a few times, in fact. I think but those moments mostly happened before I went full time. After I went full time, I'm like, there's no way out, so I'm just gonna keep working on this.
There's no way out.
Before that, the pressure mostly came from having to compete with things like React and Angular. These are big projects backed by big companies, and
were you like, oh man, React really? When it came out?
React actually came out a bit earlier than Vue, but it didn't got popular until a bit later.
It almost feels like Vue was out before React.
Yeah, I think React caught on later after people started like realizing, oh, actually, this is a legit way of doing things. When it first came out, I still remember Pete Hunt actually gave a talk at JSConf EU or somewhere, and the feedback was mostly negative. People were like, "Wow, why are you doing this? This is a bad idea."
Why would you mix all that stuff together? Don't do that. Yeah.
Who knew? But yeah, for me, the moments where sometimes I was working on Vue and I was trying to do some improvements, and I realized some of the flaws in my previous implementations. The Vue's being rewritten 2 times, I think, up to this point. We're currently undergoing the 3rd rewrite, but it's kind of amazing because every time you rewrite something, you realize how many things you're doing wrong in the past. And what's more amazing is with all those terrible things in your code base, it actually worked. And people actually built stuff with it.
Shh, they don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's natural, like not necessarily it's wrong, but more like you realize there could be better ways of doing this over time. So every time I'm like look at something I wrote like 2 years ago, I would be really worried. I'm like, wow, people actually are building stuff on top of this. I better fix this. But a lot of times this is kind of self-induced pressure. I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned over time of working on Vue is to adjust my own sort of emotional states based, not to relate too much to some of the like natural emotions you would have, but to look at more objective numbers rather than just these feelings. Because a lot of time the signals you get from the project is not complete. So the impression you get is not entirely accurate. It's not always an accurate reflection of how your project is actually doing, right? Sometimes you find out a pretty bad bug and you would feel like, wow, I fucked up so bad. But this could potentially just be a really, really small edge case where only like maybe 10 or 20 people have ever run into out of a million users. So a lot of times, you don't actually have all the information to gauge the proper context of something, whether it's good or bad, right? So over the time I've learned to just like sort of take everything with a grain of salt and don't take it too literally. Like when people file issues or when people say good things, right? Always try to tone down it a little bit so it doesn't affect my emotional status too much.
Yeah,
Good, Frederick.
No, that's. I was just gonna probably say exactly the same thing you were. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Why don't we jump in a little bit into VueConf and
speaking of good things.
Yeah, exactly. Pratik, you kind of talked about this a little bit, and maybe we could just dive into it way more. But first, like I guess it's a 2-part question, really. How you got into Vue, and then what inspired you to start the conference?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I've used several of the other frameworks that have been mentioned here previously, and like a lot of people who are new to Vue or are using Vue, Vue was it was different, but also refreshing at the same time in terms of its simplicity. And as a software developer, we already talked about like development velocity, right? Or software developer velocity. How quickly can you get something done? But the other thing that most software developers, including myself, strive for is doing things as simple as possible, right? Once you have been a programmer for long enough, you very quickly realize that that attaining like the simplest solution is actually very difficult, right? It's easy to build something very complex and like, because that's what we want to do as developers and as humans. We want to like be clever and like build stuff like in a very like, complex way. But then you realize that I just want to build something. My goal is not to write code. My goal is to develop software and to like do stuff, right?
Have the results.
So, yeah, basically be able to push out more features faster and et cetera, right? So that's how I came to Vue. And I think it was about 2 years ago now. Yeah, about 2 years ago now. I was like, oh man, I wish there was a nice Vue conference that I could go and attend to like basically meet folks in the community and like kind of level up on some of the advanced parts of Vue that I don't know very well. And there wasn't. So I reached out to Evan and said, hey, why don't we run a Vue conference for you? And that's basically the genesis of it. So me and my friend Vincent, we run a couple of other community confs in the Atlanta area. There's a big one called Connect Tech, which is a large multi-framework web dev type of event. And so we've been doing this for like the last 5 years. So we're not new to putting together an event. So we're talk to Evan and say, hey, this is kind of the ethos we have. It's focused around the community. We give away lots and lots of tickets for people who can't afford it and people from underrepresented groups. And, we want everyone to be able to come. So we're not trying to make a huge buck out of it. We want to keep the ticket price low so that everyone in the community can come, or as many people as possible can come. So that's kind of the genesis of the Vue conference. And we figured we'd start off with a bang, and we went to New Orleans last year, which I'm sure you guys have been to before, so you know what it's like. But that was a lot of fun. And, everyone enjoyed the beignets that we had at the conference. I don't think I've ever seen snacks fly off the shelf faster than those beignets. But
heck yes, and I love a beignet.
Yes, I love beignets. Yeah, I spent 4 or 5 days in New Orleans. It was wonderful. It's a really beautiful city, for sure. And where the conference is going to be this year, Straz Center, right on the water. Hillsborough River. It's lots of great food all around it. That's going to be a really amazing event. How did I'm curious a little bit about how I like to always get behind the scenes on these sort of things. How did you end up in the Straz Center? Like what was that process like for you?
Guys? So what we did is when we had basically agreed with Evan that we were going to like do it, and then we did the first conference. We wanted to go ahead and have some kind of, whatever for like the following year, and go ahead and set it up and give people an idea of like, hey, a year from now, we're going to be at this location. So we started looking around, and then we went down to Tampa like over the summer and just looked at a whole bunch of different places. And we wanted to do it somewhere that wasn't like just, kind of your normal cookie cutter conference center / hotel conference center. Yeah. And the Straz was on the list, and we're like, oh, well, it's a long shot. It's like a performing arts place, blah, blah, blah. But we'll go check it out, right? And hopefully, if it works for us. So we walked in.
You played guitar for him, didn't you?
Exactly. So we walked in. We walked into like the main theater, and we're like, holy crap, this is amazing. It has like kind of that old theater feel to it. You've been, so you know. Yeah. And we're like, oh man, it would be so awesome to do an event here. So anyways, we did a tour. We talked to them about dates, and it was actually available on the dates we wanted to do it, which was the last week of March. So we quickly got them to get some paperwork and this and that, and we were like, all right, let's do it. Tampa will be fun. March is a great time to be there. Both you fellas live there, so
Yes. Weather will be really nice.
It'll be really nice. It won't be raining all the time, and it won't be 110 degrees, which is nice. So
not in hurricane season.
Not in hurricane season, right? That's why it's in March. But so we're looking forward to that. There's loads of space at the Straz Art Center to do lots of different things. And in fact, what we're doing this time around is we actually have an artist coming in who's going to be drawing, like basically painting a large mural.
Oh, awesome!
And then like during the conference of like things going on and speakers and whatever this and that. And so at the end of the conference, he's going to partition the mural into 1 foot by 1 foot segments, and we're going to raffle off like all 30 of those segments. So
wow!
We'll have a one of a kind part of VueConf US in Tampa that they can take home and hang on their wall, or whatever back of their
wow, I love that.
truck. Yeah, so we're gonna do that. And last year, Evan can tell you, we closed with a bang. We gave away like a whole bunch of basically we just did a massive raffle of some MacBooks and Echo Dots and this and that. So it's a community thing. So we want people to come, have fun, have something to take home with you. Get to meet great people, of course.
Do you mind? What's the name of the artist?
Yeah, it's about to ask.
Yeah, hang on. Just
and what's their website? And we'll add that into the show notes as well.
I'm just looking it up right now. I'll send it to you y'all in a minute. But the guy's name is Gino something.
All right, we'll have a link to that in the we'll have a link to that in the show notes, everybody. So if you're watching or listening, just look in the notes, and we'll have the website available.
Yep, that's right. One other thing I want to mention real quick is we typically partner with different organizations in the local community to give folks who would normally not have access to some event like this the ability to come and check it out and learn and everything like that. So last year, for example, in New Orleans, we partnered with Operation Spark, and what they do is they go out and get at-risk children, at-risk high schoolers to be specific, and they do like basically an intensive months-long training course for them to get basically to learn about technology and learn programming, right? So we partnered with them last year, and this year we partnered with several people. The big one that we always partner with is Vue Vixens, and y'all probably know what Vue Vixens is.
Yeah, I've donated to them. I love them.
Yep, we're going to be doing a Vue Vixens workshop. We also have several tickets going out to Techs of Color, but those scholarship programs are currently closed. But the one that may not be closed yet is Women in Tech Tampa. So I believe they may still have some tickets available if you're in that community. So if y'all know some other people in the local Tampa area that could make good use of sending some folks to VueConf, we would love to hear from them. We have absolutely no problem with spreading some of the Vue love to everybody and making sure that we get all sorts of people at the event, and everyone gets to learn, enjoy, and have a good time, right?
Love that. Yeah, that's great. Totally appreciate that.
Awesome.
Yep. I wanted to touch on some of the subjects, and we're getting close to time. So if we could just have a little bit of brevity through some of these, and you have a lot of interesting topics that people are going to cover during the event. And I just wanted to know if you could just go through some of them, some of the ones that might stand out to either one of you, or you two, Evan, and anything that you think of, people might not be aware of that you want to bring a little light to that they find super interesting.
So let me start off real quick and give kind of like the arc in terms of the way that we put this together. So the Vue core team, several of us have gotten together over the last few months, and we look at the hundreds and hundreds of call for paper entries. It's a very difficult job to do, to go through and read each one and give each one enough time to understand. But anyways, the kind of arc we have come up with from start to finish is that we start off the conference with more kind of beginner to intermediate topics, and then we move up in terms of the sophistication of the talks, right? So we'll start off with getting started with Nuxt.js, for example, right? And we'll talk about like performance in Vue, and then CSS in Vue, and like mobile in Vue, and then we also like to mix in things like that are practical things. So I'm already a Vue.js developer. What are some tips and tricks I could use? So we have a session like on Vue.js in practice at like a big company that uses this. So we kind of paint a story, if you will, if you don't mind the pun. We paint a story through the conference where we start off with kind of basics and like fundamentals, and then we go and talk about more advanced topics and things that people can use and people can learn from, and like kind of expand your overall Vue knowledge. But yeah, so we have a bunch of stuff in there. Let's see what Evan's top few picks are.
What you got, Evan?
I like everything that we have on the program.
Yeah, I mean,
so I can't even pick favorites. I'm looking forward to every single.
I'll say I'm happy to see accessibility on there. I'm glad to see that
with Vue.js. Yeah.
Yep.
We actually had at least one accessibility topics for most of the past major conferences we had. I think this is a good focus, especially in the single page app world today. A lot of people kind of overlook that.
Yeah. And
I think it's something, it's good to keep reminding people the importance of that. Yeah, it's hard to pick good ones. My favorite ones, because I haven't even seen the talks.
Well, here let me rephrase it then in the form of a question. What do you think is a good one for? And we'll go into 3 different ones, and these 3 different flavors that will come apparent to you as I ask the first question. What do you think is a really good talk for a beginner?
For a beginner, let's see.
So my pick would be like Vue 3 by Chris Fritz, where he's going to talk about some of the new stuff that's coming in Vue 3, like for, and actually that one's good for both beginners and for people who already use Vue, right? So,
and that's Vue 3, what I'm most excited about.
Yep, that's right, by Chris Fritz. One of the
and we're gonna have we're gonna have a list of this. We're gonna have a link to the schedule for all our listeners, so you can just go in and dive and and get excited about all of them.
Let's go into the next level. What's somebody that's already been using Vue for a little bit and they're a little bit more advanced in it? What would they be really interested in?
I would say the phenomenal design patterns in Vue. This is probably Jacob Schatz, right? Yeah, he's the lead front-end engineer at GitLab. They use Vue everywhere in GitLab. So his tips would be definitely worth listening to if you want to get more advanced.
Great. And what would be something that if I am a expert, I consider myself, I go all the way to 11. I know Vue like the back of Brian's hand, which is weird, but I know Vue. What do I really want to learn? Or what would really interest me?
That would be the dark art of SFC compilation. So SFC is single file components, right? So we all use it, but do you know how it is actually compiled? So Rahul, he works a lot on our compiler tool chains. So he has some firsthand knowledge of how everything is actually turned from source code into something that runs in your browser.
Yep. So one other thing I want to mention real quick is that if you're at VueConf, we will have lightning talks on both conference days, main days. So we'll send out to the folks who are coming, we'll send out a form where anybody can go in and put in to get an 8-minute lightning talk on the schedule. So if you put in through the CFP, or if you missed the CFP or whatever, if you're not speaking, you will have a chance to toss your hat into the ring and get up on the big stage, and for 8 minutes, tell us how you view, basically. So
how you view, I like that.
How do you view?
So I'm sorry, maybe I missed what you said there. How does one submit a lightning talk?
Yeah, so what'll happen for the lightning talks is that let's say about 10 days to 2 weeks before the event, when we email all of the attendees, we'll say, hey, this is where we're going, this is where the thing is, like all the logistical stuff. But inside of there will also be a section to go and click a link and put your lightning talk into our system, so that we can go and pick from those lightning talks during the event. And last year, what we did is we had the lightning talks were actually picked by the core Vue team members, right? So core Vue team members will actually go look at those lightning talks and say, yes, we want to carry these 8 for day 1 and these 8 for day 2. So we have plenty of lightning talk session slots for people to get actively involved and like actually present something that they love about Vue, or just go up and rant about how beautiful the weather is in Tampa, or whatever you want to do. So
rant. But by the way, Frederick, I don't know if you noticed John Papa's there. Man. I swear, I love John. I swear he's everywhere there. I saw him at my meetup last week.
I think the last 5 conferences we covered, John Papa's always there. We're like, John Papa.
Hey man,
doesn't matter where we travel.
Nice.
Yeah. That guy knows his stuff. So Brian, I know you have a question about things outside of Vue.
Yeah, the last thing I really like to personalize you both, humanize, so to speak. Especially you, Evan, because you're so high on a massive pedestal. What are some personal passion projects like outside of Vue? Like, what's some things that people might not know about you?
Well,
and they don't have to be development things either.
No, non-development things, preferably.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, actually, ever since I had kids, I have very little personal free time now. So I'm, whatever time I have, I just read some comics, play some video games, mostly indoor activities.
Any anime? Any anime?
Yeah. Well, I mostly read like the comic format. I don't watch those because it takes too much time. When I read manga, I can just like, I just follow some of the ones I'm interested in and just.
What's your favorites?
Wow, that's too many.
Okay.
I just recently.
Give me two.
I just recently read the original of the Battle Angel Alita. Yeah, the original manga version of it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's called Gummon or something. But the original is so good. It's one of the top sci-fi manga out there. Yeah.
Have you seen the Umbrella Academy on Netflix yet?
The My Hero Academy?
No, Umbrella Academy.
Umbrella.
No,
it's a
really.
live action show on Netflix.
Yeah, it's based on a comic. I was curious if you had seen it.
Okay.
Do you get what's your Netflix queue look like?
I don't actually have a Netflix subscription.
The only person right here.
Yeah,
That's right.
Well, I actually used to have one, but I canceled it because I spent too much time watching those things.
No, I totally get it.
Yes, you have to stay busy working.
Yeah,
it's too easy because I work from home in front of the computer. It's too easy to just start binge watching something and your day is gone.
Yeah.
What's your breakfast of choice?
Breakfast of choice. If I have someone that can make it for me, it would be an omelet.
Someone make it for me. It went from breakfast of choice to I want my breakfast to be someone to make it for me.
In bed,
because
please.
I'm too lazy to do it myself.
Pratik?
Yes. Breakfast of choice?
Sure, yeah. Breakfast of choice.
Okay. Usually it's just eggs and a banana. So keep it simple.
Eggs and a banana. That's an interesting combo.
Yeah.
Not the banana in the eggs.
Yeah, no, not banana in the egg. No, that would be probably a little gross.
Why don't we go backwards a little bit? So what do you do outside of work? What's your interests?
Yeah.
Obviously, I think we could talk about your guitar solo that you're going to play.
Exactly. So
air guitar.
I like to read. So I'm for example, right now I'm reading a horror book from the early, turn of the century called The King in Yellow by Robert Chambers, which if you've seen the first season of True Detective, they make several references to The King in Yellow. So I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. And, Google search later. And a trip to Amazon.com, I have a book called The King in Yellow. So been reading that recently. So I like to read and just go biking frequently in Atlanta. So and try not to get killed. If you've been to Atlanta, that's a joke you would understand. Never mind.
Traffic.
Oh yes. But yeah, so biking, and of course, you're in the ATL, you love to eat. So I know everyone calls themselves a foodie, so I won't do that, but I just like to eat. How's that?
I like that answer. Everybody does use that way too often.
Yeah. So I just like to eat. I don't call myself a foodie.
Well, we're getting to the end. I wondered if you guys have any kind of and Brian, do you want to do anything before I ask him about final words?
No, final words is great.
If you guys have any final words of wisdom, anything you would like to bestow upon the audience, I'll let you go first, Pratik.
Yep. So the only thing I will have to say is come to VueConf. We'll have a great time. Frederick will do a song and dance on the main stage for us if you come. How's that?
That's planned.
Okay, there you go.
I will rap, no problem.
Wow. Okay. what would you rap?
I got a ton of raps.
Nice.
Yeah.
We can do a battle then.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Ready? We do one right now. I'll bring it.
Oh wow.
So, hey, at the
Yoda Corolla, I roll with the wisdom of Yoda because I know the dark side is on my side. I'm a ride beside dirty bros, those fellows that think that they're fancy. They give a glance to see if they got a chance to be beyond me, beyond the beyond. I can see that everybody's so afraid of everybody. You can check my ID because I'm famous to everybody on it. I can keep going, but
okay, Evan, go.
Wow. I don't even
Your turn, Evan.
freestyle. Everything is I just copy other people's bars. So
oh yeah,
it's not even a
on the top of
competition.
my head anyway. That's fine.
So
Weird way to end the show.
Where's the wisdom?
Where's the wisdom?
Oh, the wisdom.
The wisdom.
Try Vue.
Perfect.
Well said by Evan.
Yeah.
Evan, you. Great. Well, hey guys, thank you so much for being on the show. And just to remind everyone that we're going to be at the conference. It's going to be on March 25th is the workshop day, correct? Am I right?
Yep.
Right. And then the actual main conference days are March 26th and 27th. We'll be there for the 26th and 27th, excuse me. And we're going to be interviewing pretty much most of the speakers. So it's going to be really awesome. You're going to hear a little bit about them and what they're talking about. So if you don't have the ability to be there, you'll get a little bit of that. And yeah, come watch us. Well, we're going to have a live audience. It's going to be really cool. And again, we're also going to be giving away tickets. So the rules for that, I'm going to pull them up. And we'll have this in the show notes again, just tweet out, I want the VueConf tickets at Thunder Nerds, and that will be giving away on the show on March 7th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, join us then.
Right.
Yeah.
Join us.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. And thanks everyone for watching the show. See you next time. Toodles of noodles.